come to an understanding. Let's 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 come to an understanding.
Let's come to an understanding.
What's up, everybody? This is Amish Patel.
Drew Picklyk here. Welcome to the show. Let's come to an understanding. Third edition. Let's chop it up.
Let's do it.
Let's get into
Lots
it.
to talk about.
A lot going on.
Heavy week.
Big week so far. We're recording this on a Wednesday, just after there were some elections in the States yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Some upsets. Some things got shaken up. We had the first Muslim woman ever elected to the state senate, I believe. In
Ghazala Hashmi.
Ghazala Hashmi. Look at you. Oh, yeah.
Ghazala Hashmi.
From India.
From India. Born in
An
India.
Indian Muslim woman from Virginia. Now going to be sitting in the state senate there. That's big.
God is great. God is great.
God is great.
Mhm.
And then we also have a change in Kentucky. The governor
Mm-hmm.
has gone to a Democrat now, over from the Republicans. And what's very interesting about these two
conservatives
states,
are running. These conservatives are running scared right now. A
Trump,
Muslim woman not born here, and then you're saying this other stronghold was taken down.
was she not born here?
She was born in India. You said.
Well, I know she's of Indian
Ghazala
descent.
Hashmi. I thought it was she was born in India. She came over here when she was young.
Is that what it was? Okay.
I think that's what I heard you read out loud from the article.
That was all stream of consciousness. As far as I'm concerned.
No, you were reading it. I heard that. Ghazala Hashmi,
Okay.
hazy on the facts, but I'm pretty sure born in India, came here
Okay.
when she was young, Muslim woman.
She is a
Very
Muslim
exciting. Very exciting.
Exciting,
And these
yep.
conservatives are on the run, baby.
Well, let's not count our chickens before they're hatched.
Okay.
But what's interesting about this is, one is Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
as they say in the New York Times, was once the seat of the Confederacy.
Ah.
Right? This is the home of Jefferson. This is the home of Washington.
Wow.
And they have been moving consistently more and more, not necessarily to the left, but in favor of the Democratic Party.
Shall we call it God is great? A Muslim woman, eh? This is scary.
What are you talking?
This is scary for them. They're terrified, dude.
Well, no, because Virginia.
They're terrified.
Chill. 1 second. The demographics of Virginia are changing,
Yes.
right? So Virginia's become pretty solidly blue, and now in the state legislature, they said this is the first time in the generation that's happened. So that's pretty.
Wow.
It's pretty big. With Kentucky,
Mhm.
you have to remember Kentucky is the home state of Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, the Senate
Here we
majority leader, right?
Drama.
Who apparently also has a pretty bad approval rating in Kentucky as it stands.
He's the turtle guy, right? He looks like a turtle.
He's the turtle
Jon
guy.
Stewart always made him
He's the guy. Listen, he's the guy you could say, in a way, is the most powerful Republican in America, even over that of a Donald Trump, in the sense that he's the guy who didn't let Obama get his Supreme Court justice on the Supreme Court. Merrick Garland, who was supposed to be there, to give him that asterisk. He said we're not gonna vote on that in the last year.
That's a big deal.
For sitting presidency. Yeah,
Very
there
powerful.
was no precedent for him to do that. It was
This is a robbery. That was a robbery.
It was a robbery.
That was a robbery. And he's the one who did it. I didn't know that.
He's up for re-election next year,
Yep.
right? And their governor, who was Republican up until he hasn't conceded officially,
Okay.
but what it's looking like is not. I'm not going to say Kentucky's in play. I think Kentucky Trump is probably very popular in Kentucky.
Okay.
But he got shook. He had a rally in Lexington. He's out in Kentucky being like, listen, guys, if you don't win the governorship, that looks bad on me. all
Yeah,
right?
he was there.
He's there.
And
He
the
was there in
t-shirts.
Kentucky, and he had everyone wearing t-shirts. Read the transcript shirts.
That was great. That's nerd bait. I was telling my roommate. That's basically because the story behind the read the transcript. It sounds like even if you read it, like they're still wrong. Like with the logic of it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, how do you interpret the transcript? That's what it is. Because if you read something, right, you can interpret it in many different ways. Like, what is the voice in your head? Like, you can parse words. You can be like, oh, that's what he meant.
Yeah.
I'm reading it, and I'm taking this. Like, it's like when you take a certain quote. You know what I mean? You're cutting up quotes to get what you want out of it.
Well, it sounds kind of like what he did with the Mexicans or rapists thing, where the argument back, like when everyone put that clip, he was like, no, you got to play the full clip.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are taking it out of context. Play the full clip, then you'll know for sure. This is the new kind of like, this is another one of his like. Nope, you're. I'm right and you're wrong.
Well, no,
and you're
he was
not.
saying he was being unfairly characterized. He wasn't saying Trump would have made the argument that he wasn't saying all Mexicans are awful people, but he was trying to make the argument that there's some people who are criminals who are getting it, and they said that the left blew it out of proportion.
Yeah.
But now that's being used against him. Like there's no consistency in anyone's logic on this stuff. There's no consistency in the argument because now what he's saying is, well, no, read the transcript according to how I would want you to read it. Like blow it up, and it's all. Listen, everyone, I get it. It's how the game is played. It's all optics. Everyone's doing it in the way that benefits them the most. But big thing here, if Mitch McConnell is not, I mean, hey, who's to say if the Republicans still stay in power after 2020's election, right? And that's the presidential election, and that's
Congress.
Well, they have everybody, so there'll be congressional seats up for re-election.
Right.
Like AOC is going to be up for re-election next year.
Okay.
You're gonna have McConnell up for re-election.
Wow.
Like it could be a shift. You could be seeing a power shift. So
yeah, and this could be the start of it. A shift to the left.
Well, not necessarily. I wouldn't call it a shift to the left, but maybe like a rebalancing of power. So that's interesting with what's happening, especially with Kentucky, because Kentucky, you look at, you think
God is great. Gazala.
She's Virginia, but
Virginia, God is great. Gazala.
Amish doesn't like to read. He likes me to read out loud to him. He likes me to read out loud.
I got him to read out loud.
And then he just kind of.
So the Virginia, Kentucky,
he runs with it.
we flipped it. We're running with it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But no, the American election feels a little bit like jocks. Like it's like jocks and cheerleaders versus nerds and feminists, and we gotta. And this read the transcript is like a bait for like, hey, go read it, loser. Like it's just like the logic isn't there. It's just kind of like a bullying thing. Like, no, that's what I said. Shut up. Go read it. And then and then if you actually read it, they'll just be like, look at this nerd reading.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they're
it's
like.
It's High School Musical.
Whenever you watch his stuff, though,
it's Euphoria,
the documentaries about Trump, though, the way he treats his inner circle, they are like a crew of jocks, and like he's the leader jock, and then they all have to kiss his ass, and they all have to like Michael. Is it Michael Cohen, the attorney?
Michael Cohen, who took the fall for Trump and then went out against him after the fact.
That guy, like from day one, has just been like, "Please, can I hang out?" Like he's like a freshman. He's like, "Please, can I hang out? Can I just come? I'll pay for the hookers, dude." That's how he got in.
That was how you felt like there was like a kind of desperation.
He was a desperate.
He needed a sense of validation.
He was just doing free shit for them.
He had a level of insecurity on his own.
Yeah, he begged to be in the group, and he's like, "Please, I'll do stuff for you." He's basically like, "Don't let I can't hang with these nerds. Like, don't please let me. I have to be a jock. I have to be in the circle." So he did a lot of stuff early on that, like, I don't think he made any money. Like, he might have been losing money in his relationship early on with Trump.
I'm sure. Well, maybe it was a loss leader. Maybe it's like Uber.
He was looking at it as like a loss leader. Like, he was like, I want to be in the circle.
So that you keep people attached to the brand and attached to.
It's like a nerd in high school buying his way into the jocks crew. Like, he's being like, hey, man, you guys can come here anytime. Like, he was just doing favors for him that cost him money, put him in jeopardy.
He was doing the science projects.
Yeah, he was doing
and
all
letting them
stuff.
Put their names on it.
And exactly, that's what he. Yeah. But Trump, it really does feel like he is. So then he went out there to rally. That's very interesting. That's so basically the two seats lose, Kentucky and Virginia. Then Trump right away is there being like, guys, what are we doing?
But they're saying with McConnell in Kentucky, they're saying partly why he might be okay or he might be hurt is because sometimes he butts heads with Trump. And if his supporters are super like rah Trump, right?
Yeah.
Then they're gonna be like, why are you talking bad about our boy? Like we'll vote you out. But here's why that I don't think really makes sense if you're using that logic. Because McConnell is like the firewall for Trump. If this impeachment thing goes through, right, that the House will recommend impeachment, but that has to be confirmed by the Senate. Yeah. McConnell runs the United States Senate right now. So if McConnell's out, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense strategically for them to really hurt him. But it's interesting. It's interesting that they let a Democrat get in the governor's office there. And what will that say going forward? I don't know.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
But it's interesting. Something to watch. Something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, well, we got a pin in it right there. We got a pin in it. That is very interesting.
Other big news down south of the border this week. Popeyes chicken sandwich, which we still haven't had here. Honestly, come on. I thought you guys were a multinational company. Okay?
Popeyes.
Yeah, we don't have a chicken sandwich.
Whoa, Popeyes doesn't have a chicken sandwich right now in Canada?
They've had one on a ciabatta bun, but it's trash. Like we want the one with the brioche. All right. Although, shout out to comic Janelle Dennis, who's living down in New York right now. She was recently in Brooklyn at I believe the Myrtle Broadway Popeyes. Great Popeyes. I've been there many times. Big fan. No, it's a great Popeye. One of the best Popeyes in America.
Yeah, this is great. This is a great setup for this article.
She was saying that there was like a Business Insider article that came out, and they went to the Popeyes at Myrtle Broadway and were horrified to find that the style of pickle that they're using is different than what they were giving in the summer.
Oh, dear.
And on top of that, the quantity of the pickles, I think they went down from 3 to 2, which is just, I know you're not a chicken eater. You're not a chicken sandwich eater.
No.
All right. You had your dalliances when you were a kid back in India. You were around it. You were around the stuff. You never touched it.
I had it one time, and then my uncle ratted me out. He pressured me into having it, and then he ratted me out to my mom.
Oh,
and she
my
cried.
God.
I know.
Wait,
it's a whole story. We'll get into it another time. No, we can't get into it right now.
I think we need to just...
No, this Popeye's chicken sandwich setup is so good.
But hold on. We need
because
to...
all of these shout-outs you're doing...
No, but you have so much pathos involved in yours. Like, I mean, I'm just kind of talking about like
but I love how
current events.
I love how you're just talking about it, but then the New York Times article that you just read out loud to me was basically like...
Listen,
like
Amish
Popeye's
doesn't know
chicken
how to
sandwich.
read, okay? He doesn't know how to read.
I'm not reading. But the New York Times article that you read, which he has an account to, by the way. I was like, he pulls up the New York Times on my computer, and he's like, what is this? Because it pops up, and it's like, you needed an account.
Yeah.
And I was like, and he's like, I'll just log in. And I'm like, oh, you have an account? And the way you said, yeah, it was
Of course I have an account.
It's a good thing you wore a turtleneck today. It's perfect.
It's not a turtleneck. It's a zip-up.
It's a zip-up
I'm wearing a collared shirt underneath this, though, and I think it doesn't look good. You ever dress, and then you're kind of like, why'd I do that?
And then you zipped all the way up.
And then I zipped
but then
all the way
with
up.
this zipped all the way up, he's sitting there, and I go, you have the New York Times? And he's like, yes, I mean.
Of course.
Of course. Like, it was
of course.
So, you were so disgusted that I even asked.
read the New York Times.
Of course
Yes.
you do.
Of
So
course I
anyway,
do.
the whole article is about how Popeyes is taking advantage, like basically,
But Amish.
African Americans love the chicken sandwich so much.
1 second,
And then
though.
even introducing the story, you're just like, shout out to the to the Brooklyn location.
It's a
Been
great
there many
location.
times.
I
You know
have.
all the news that's going on.
I've
So
had
the
many
New York
nights.
Times article is correct.
Let me tell you something. I have many nights that have ended at that Popeyes, and I have many nights that have been ended by that Popeyes.
This is a big part of your culture.
And there's a difference.
Okay.
There's a difference. There's a night where you say, I'm going to end my night at Popeyes, and there's a night where you went to Popeyes a little bit too early. And
Okay.
Popeyes was like, it's over. It's done.
The difference is I thought it was going to be the breakfast menu
throwing
versus
in the
late night
towel.
menu. But they
Popeyes doesn't have a breakfast menu.
no breakfast menu on Popeyes.
The biscuits can be eaten at any hour, though. And that Popeyes biscuit is one of the... Anyone out there who knows, and as a vegetarian, you could even be indulging in this. The Popeyes biscuit, Amish, oh my God.
Is a biscuit just a piece of bread?
It's a soda biscuit. It's like baking soda and flour and starch.
Okay.
It's bad for you. It's a lot of sodium.
Okay.
It's dry but buttery. It's got a weird...
Sounds great.
The
Sounds
Popeyes
great.
biscuit is something... One time...
It's your naan.
You know what happened? Yeah, it's my naan. Yeah.
It's your people's naan.
My people... What are you saying? Blacks?
African American? I don't
Blacks? I'm not African American. I am black, but I'm not African. So, okay, I'll take it. I did grow up on some Popeyes.
But you're very New York. You're very New York.
I'm not. I'm very
Subscription to the
Toronto.
New York Times. Okay, but go on.
I mean, Amish, I read. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
It's great.
I
No,
want to
dude,
apologize.
I'm very proud.
I want to apologize.
I'm very happy. Our topic list is so tight today. It's
Listen, I'm very
incredible.
versatile. I read and I eat Popeyes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
I have
no,
a lot
but you're
going
cultured.
on.
You're cultured, yeah.
But wait, whoa, 1 second though. Let's just pull that back. Your uncle pressured you to eat chicken, like he was like, eat it, and then he used it against you immediately.
Next day, he told my mom.
So tell me, like, why? Why would he do that to you?
He was doing a power move.
How old were you at the time?
12.
Oh my God! What power did you stand to gain over him that he had to do this like psychological warfare
Look,
against a 12-year-old?
you got to understand the Hindus are,
Okay.
are as a culture
Yeah.
transitioning from vegetarian to a meat eating culture. I'm the last vegetarian, dude. It's me and like a handful of girls. That's it.
Your mom?
That last generation, a lot of them are, but the kids,
Your dad was a vegetarian.
not really. He started eating fish towards the end.
Fish. Okay.
But my dad was. My dad ate meat back in the day, whatever, and then he was in the middle, like pure vegetarian. Then he started eating fish and stuff. My sisters both, like everyone eats meat now. I'm a weirdo. As a Hindu,
Really?
I'm like a throwback Hindu. I'm eating.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Well, I know. Like,
I'm meditating and I'm vegetarian. Like that's
you're
not
you're
even,
actually doing it.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And they're like, "What is this guy?" Like they
Uh-huh.
think it's weird. I remember me and my dad used to talk about how like over here,
Yeah.
it's like they follow Eastern philosophy, and over there they follow Western philosophy.
Right.
So like in the sense that like
The grass is always greener.
I guess the grass is always greener, and then culturally, like you want to be like the other side, kind of. Like they're all hard capitalists; they don't care about any religious stuff. And then here, people here are like, "Okay, I'm meditating, I'm doing yoga," and
right.
it's like
here,
the yoga.
here we like Buddha, Confucianism.
Over there, they're
all
like,
that.
"What's that old shit?" No, I'm capitalism,
Yoga.
baby. I'm into Jesus,
We
baby.
like yoga, but here what's kind of messed up too, though, because it dips into mindfulness. You know, everyone's
Right.
like, "Oh, practice mindfulness," which I feel is like just a way of being like, optimize yourself, be the best you could be. Like it's like Howard Stern. I have listened to Howard Stern talk about like his meditation practice,
Mhm.
and his whole kind of like takeaway from it sounded like he's like, you could be like a military general and like meditate. It's not gonna make you more compassionate. You're just gonna be a better general.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if that's the kind of like initial function or purpose of meditating.
Well, if it
Like
wasn't,
I sit with a meditation group every week, right? And
Yeah.
at the end of each sit, we have a mantra, right, where we say, "May your newfound awareness benefit others." It's not like, "May your newfound awareness help you kill the enemy." You know what I mean?
yeah, that's
Like,
basically like Sam Ovens training. Like, remember
Yeah.
that consulting.com guy? He talks about meditation.
mhm.
Those guys talk about meditation. Even the way Sam Harris talks about it, it's talking about it like
They-
you have a computer here.
Yeah.
Let's reprogram it so that you're highly efficient and more stealth and
Yeah.
more destructive in the marketplace so that you can dominate.
It's
Like,
not
that's-
about compassion or like any kind of like even like what they take like a samurai's approach to meditation.
Yeah. They're
Where
using the
it's
mind
like,
as a
how
weapon,
can I
and they're like,
kill
how
the
can I
enemy?
optimize? And they talk about a lot about what's it called? What's the philosophy where you're like tough? The philosophy where it's like a Greek one, but it's all about being tough.
Spartan? No.
Not Spartan, but it's another one of those ones where it's like
Socratic method.
not Socratic. It's the one that the guy wrote in his meditations. It's basically like Stoic. It's like Stoic philosophy.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
Stoic.
that's not Greek. That's Seneca.
Oh, sorry, Seneca.
It's
So
Roman.
Stoic philosophy and that combined Eastern philosophy right now is the hot new shit for functional people.
Right.
To be highly functional, that's the hot new shit.
To
And
optimize.
Drew, I'm all over it. So if you're worried about someone becoming a sociopath,
I'm not worried. I think we're there. But
I don't think
I think we're there.
the damage has been done. I'm getting my degree, as you know,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
New York Times.
I do
Well,
know.
I also am getting a degree at Harvard X
Online,
In
Harvard
Buddhism.
X online, free
Online university.
courses.
Free course on Buddhism.
Anyway,
I'm
back to
taking
Popeyes, back to the chicken sandwich.
it. Yeah, let's get back to the chicken sandwich.
Yeah, they're saying that it's come back and they've already fucked it up. I don't know. From what I've read, that it's back, but it's not like what it was in the summer. So they clearly they like pulled out all the stops, and now they're like, "You like it? All right, we're gonna dial it back a little bit then.
Wow.
Do all this stuff because it was gone for months. It was gone for like what?
In America too.
Well, it's only in the States.
Only
You
in
can't
the
get
States.
it. You can't
Okay.
get it outside of the United
So
States.
the
right
chicken
now.
sandwich disappears, comes back.
But it comes back, but it's not the same. They say. This is at least one article. Business Insider. They alluded to this. They said it's not.
Man,
quite what it
I
was.
think the black community needs a competitor to this. I don't like because that's what the whole article was about. Is about how this white guy who kind of doesn't give a fuck is just getting rich off black people.
But it's not.
with the-
well,
with
no,
Popeyes.
it's
I mean-
owned. It's owned by a conglomerate. It's owned by restaurant brands. They own Tim Hortons. They own Burger King.
Didn't it show the owner though? The
Popeyes.
initial owner too.
He's dead though. He died.
Okay,
like,
he's dead,
He died like
too.
11 years ago.
Fine. So he.
But I'm
doesn't
sure
care, but-
whoever's the head of restaurant brands. No, the big issue, and it's not just with Popeyes, because they're saying like Popeyes is in a lot of black communities, right? And the black communities patronize Popeyes a lot.
Mhm.
But then Popeyes probably employs a lot of black workers,
Yeah.
and they're not paying them good wages. And especially here's what
That's
I
the thing.
like
man.
here's something, and it's not just there. Like this is something I found so gross when Uber Eats started going into places like McDonald's, right? You have everyone there working, right? Already pretty busy shifts at their McDonald's.
Yeah.
And then Uber Eats comes in, and then you've just doubled, tripled, quadrupled that workload.
Yeah.
But is motherfucker behind the counter getting a bump in pay?
No.
Now how much more work are you doing now? They're running around, they're fucking being worked to the bone
Yeah.
for the same fucking amount, and there's no bump in pay. There's nothing. So I think that's the thing where they're saying, like, it's a corporation at the end of the day. Like fuck Popeyes at the end of the day, and that's also bad for you. It's also killing. It's delicious.
It's killing you,
but
dude,
it's killing
too.
you. It's killing you.
Yeah, like think of that cost too.
But you're not getting any medical benefits working at Popeyes.
Yeah, but okay, fine. That aside, though, I think it would be nice if an African American competitor came along and kept it inside the culture. You know what I'm saying?
Like a fast food competitor.
Like I want Jay-Z to get in the game. I want Kanye to be
I think
like, let's
Kanye
make
Kanye has some sort of investment in a fast food chain that's like
Killer Mike?
Illinois based.
Killer Mike.
I think he
Magic
probably has some
Johnson. Doesn't Magic
investments.
Johnson do stuff like this where he like
he has
fixes
like
old
movie theaters, I think.
He has movie theaters, but he fixes entire like old neighborhoods. Like he's the kind of guy that can get on top of this kind of bit. I wonder if someone's trying to come out with a competitor.
But I mean, okay, have you heard of these like opportunity zones they have in the States?
Yeah,
you've heard about it. It's like, but this is like a Republican pushed project.
It's the Trump thing I was telling you about last time. When basically when a neighborhood gets super devalued,
right.
you just bring in all these rich investors who want to buy everything like sharks.
Right, but that just spurs like it's just giving people like a license to gentrify.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah,
it's
basically.
just saying like, oh yeah, this neighborhood's depressed, and like Charlemagne on Brilliant Idiots and all that. Charlemagne was trying to make the point of a while back. He's like, oh, these opportunity zones are good, but it's like, money, you're a fucking millionaire. Yeah, it's good for you. But the other people who are going to be getting in on that shit are also millionaires who aren't from that community who just now have a tax write-off to do it. Like, look at the bigger picture. It's not like, well, me and Killer Mike could do it and DJ Envy could do it. Yeah, that's like a handful of fucking people who might have good intentions.
Yeah, yeah.
Compared to like an outsized amount of people
Come
who
on, Charlemagne,
are
be
coming in
responsible.
there
Charlemagne.
yeah.
And also disclose if
The
you have any
co-op-
stocks in it. Did you buy some? Did you get into a real estate income trust that's
probably.
investing money in it? And then you go on your radio show and say, oh, hey, it's great.
Yeah, probably.
Well, he's like fucking that Glenn Beck selling gold. And then he owns the stocks.
God bless him. God bless him.
Charlemagne's
Listen.
like, why can't we get rich? Okay.
It's tough to turn a buck.
It's a grind, yeah.
But yeah, no, man. I think this whole thing with the Popeyes coming back. I listen. I want to try the sandwich. I talked to a guy who said he tried it in the Bay Area, and he said it was like a chicken sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't seem like a gourmand. Having said that, I wasn't getting gourmand vibes off of him.
Right.
So maybe that's the case. Listen, next time I'm down there, maybe I'll go to Detroit or Buffalo sometime soon. I'll get myself a little Popeyes chicken sandwich. Also,
yeah,
we'll talk about. Well, this kind of works into our next topic because one thing that's interesting, Popeyes isn't all over Canada. I think it might only be in like certain provinces. Because I'll tell you where it's not. When I went to school in Montreal for 4 or 5 years, I lived over there.
Mm-hmm.
Not a Popeyes in sight.
Was that hard for you?
I would cry myself to sleep.
I mean, you've been really loving the Popeyes. So
I would
far.
say I
I'm
do
surprised.
not. I do not feel seen in this province. I do not feel represented.
Validated.
I feel like a stranger in my own country over here.
No Popeyes?
Because of the lack of Popeyes. I said, hey, look, je parle français. C'est moi qui je fais l'effort, parle français. I learned your language. Give me something back. I remember when when I lived in New York, my friend Annie
You're gonna be a
Claude,
political refugee? Like go to America?
Popeyes. I was a Popeyes refugee. My friend Annie Claude, she came to visit me in New York. She grew up in Montreal, not in Montreal, but in Quebec, right? She'd never been to Popeyes.
Okay.
I had to take her to Popeyes in Manhattan, in Lower Manhattan, Chinatown, the Chinatown Popeyes.
Okay.
Shout out to the Chinatown Popeyes in Lower Manhattan.
Wow. You know all of them.
There's a mop bucket on the floor at all times. It smells like ammonia, but it tastes delicious.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
great. So this lady that you took her, what was her background?
Annie Claude?
Yeah.
She's a friend of mine. She's Quebecois. She's like a white Quebecois.
Okay.
Quebecoise. Sorry.
And what was her take
Quebecoise.
on the whole Popeyes
She
experience?
loved it.
She loved it.
Come on, how could you?
Well,
not?
then why aren't we getting these Popeyes into Montreal, guys? Huh?
Well,
I think we've made a good case here.
This is partly why we're talking about Quebec. They have a new government, the CAQ, the Coalition d'Avenir Québécois. The CAQ for all you monolingual Anglophones out there, and learn another. What are you doing? Learn another language, okay?
I got 2 or 3 under my belt.
What do you got? You got Hindi?
Gujarati, really, and then
Gujarati?
I can do Hindi and I can do a touch of Punjabi too, but not really.
I have English and French
Okay.
because I'm Canadian. But no,
Go back to that.
no, but this kind of ties into the whole thing because Quebec their new provincial government, right? The CAQ, the coalition. Pretty much what it means is like the coalition for the Quebec's future, right? That's what Avenir means future in French.
Okay.
So it's like the coalition for the future of Quebec.
All right.
They're putting a values test into place now for people who want to immigrate or immigrants who are there but want to stay there.
There were some
And
interesting points.
I just read a thing on Instagram. Shout out to a great Montreal comic who operates in both French and English, Bruno Lee. He was saying there's going to be like Chinese exchange students who speak better French than Eugenie Bouchard who are going to be kicked out of the province now, right?
Wow.
And, you know, I think that's it's interesting what they're doing with it because, one, I'll tell you where I stand on this. For one, I lived in Quebec for many years.
Mm-hmm.
I support the French language and I support cultural diversity within Canada and within our country. What are you doing? Where are you going?
Yes, I'm just getting this notebook. Go on.
Okay, he's getting a notebook.
I know. Sorry,
I heard the doorbell ring. I thought you were getting up to get the doorbell.
No, I'm not getting the door. But
Did you order Domino's?
It was unfortunate timing. You were just getting into a speech about how you support all of their you support the language.
And then you got up to leave.
Right, and then I got up to leave in the middle of that. I thought you could do a little monologue there.
No. But I think that like Canada, the reason we have multiculturalism in Canada or policy of multiculturalism, which I'm on board with. Are you on board with it, Amish?
Multiculturalism?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's partly why we're doing this podcast right now.
Hey, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here.
Thanks. Thanks for letting me out of that colonial hellhole. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kidding.
Into this colonial.
I'm really sorry for everyone who got left behind, but basically the old colonial things, they're all just open air concentration camps. You got to get the fuck out.
This is a colonial.
No, this is a Dominion.
Oh, this is colonial Dominion.
This is a Dominion. We were a step up, but then all the other where it's not.
Well, we're the Dominion of Canada. Anyhow.
Dominion, yeah. But anyway.
All that being said, that was Trudeau Senior, Pierre Elliott.
Yeah.
He was making an appeal to the French-speaking population by saying, "Well, listen, we got to integrate it, make it more." That's why when you hear like these, like idiots, these blowhards, these uptight like Anglo, who first of all, anytime you hear an Anglophone, let me just tell you something. Anytime you hear an Anglophone be like, "Why do we have French signs in British Columbia? No one there speaks French." Listen, they're a part of our country. These are federal roads. You put signs that for people who are part of your country, when you have two languages, you put that sign. And that same person would be like, "Oh, they're so racist." You know, the French are so racist. That's like the same times I hear like whenever a Republican tries to make an argument about like, how the Democrats were on the side of the South in the Civil War. You know what I mean? Like the Republicans fought for the Civil War. It's like you don't give a shit about black people. Like, what is this argument? It's like, clean your own house, all right? Anytime some Anglos are talking about how racist the Francophones are,
look,
clean your own side of the street first.
You can always nitpick on another side, but let's just be honest.
Have a little self-awareness.
You guys are the ones that are the race. Like, let's just fine. You found some weird historical thing where it flipped at some point, but at the end of the day, you're the racist ones. It's also
all the Democrats, before civil rights, even in the United States, right? All the Democrats were segregationists. Once Lyndon B. Johnson pushes it that we're going to civil rights, all those Democrats now, they flip to Republicans.
They just flip to Republicans.
And then they were like, "Hey, whoa, Lincoln." And what do you mean? We're Republicans. You were listen.
It just flipped.
It's like what happens in
Lincoln's
Virginia
a
right
Democrat.
now. It's like what's happening in Virginia right now. Things change over time. Things come to be meaning something else over time. It's just cultural progressions. Anyway.
Yeah. They try to use that as like a...
I'm getting revved up.
No, it's good.
But
it's great points.
Let's just talk about this whole thing because Quebec. Okay, so the CAQ, they're trying to say that you have to pass a 90-minute test if you're immigrating to the province of Quebec.
Multiple choice.
And Quebec has stronger control over its immigration than other provinces.
Yeah. Like, they have a lot of benefits of just even holding the French language. It's a big political move to hold the language. It gets you a lot of power. There's like the government. In the government with government jobs, I think they have a percentage of jobs that are held for French-speaking people that are higher than the proportion of them.
If you're bilingual, you have a better shot of getting a job with the federal government than if you're monolingual. 100%.
Yeah. So there's extra money I think spent even like as far as to facilitate that. All the duplicate buildings that are there, like there's a lot of duplicate like things that are there in French. It creates a lot of jobs for them.
Sure, but it's a
political power hold too. And I was watching a great video about like language and power, and this guy was making a video about how France still basically controls Africa by teaching them French. Like they just pay for French schools, and then you only know how to speak French.
But I think French is actually kind of on the decline in Africa. I've heard things that
it's changing now. It's changing now, but
it's not. The holdover is kind of going away.
Yeah, it's going away because China's coming in to compete.
Yeah,
but a big part of why France could still control them is because nobody else knew how to speak the language. So even if you're a business going in to make a deal with like a mining deal or whatever, if you speak the language, you just take that contract. And
there's linguistic benefits.
There's huge. It's a lot of money.
And not to say, listen, not to minimize, Quebec as a former colonial power and like. Say all that, but I'm just saying the whole thing of like when Anglophones are saying, like you are any better, like you're not more culturally evolved, and you're being racist in your own way right now. You're being xenophobic in your own way right now. So chill.
Yeah.
But anyway, the whole thing of putting values on immigrants, though, it's interesting because what they're saying is they want to promote secularism and gender equality, right?
Well, look at one of the questions.
But the issue with that is that presumes a level of cultural chauvinism on the part of the Quebec government, right? That's like saying like you're probably some barbarian.
No, this is happening in Europe too. Like where they're like, well, look, if you're gonna let Muslims in, let's do a questionnaire. We got
to make sure they're on board.
Basically, one of the questions, like a true or false question in the test, is in Quebec, men and women have the same laws and. This equality is written into the law, basically, something like that.
But
basically, men and women
have the same rights.
Sorry, have the same rights, and and this equality is written into the law. So that someone in Quebec is like, they'll never be able to say true on that.
And by the way, I don't
want to live here.
Hold up. And by the way, Quebec, that's only 40 years old.
You've only had it for 40 years.
Yeah, you haven't even had it that long. So.
But
pat on the back to you.
No, but it's a good trick question to weed out like someone who's
true or false.
I think someone in Quebec is like, put that. Some of them don't even know that it's equal here. They're gonna look at that and be like, I don't want to be here.
Also, if someone actually holds like really misogynistic and like sexist views, you think they don't know how to like pass a test? You think they're not looking at that being like, fall.
Wait, what do they want me to say here? Oh God, what's the right? Then if you fail once, I think they give you like one more chance.
Like it's just no.
Deportations.
You know what it looks like? It looks like it's just a thing. It's a thing that kind of others people. I think that's the biggest issue with it. It's othering people, and it's making it kind of like you have to adhere to this, that, and the third. And you're always gonna be kind of on the outside of it because we're making you. Adhere to these standards that we wouldn't actually apply to native born citizens.
Well, that's why I think just to be clear, there's not deportations. I think there was before, and then after
they've amended some things.
They've amended some things, but initially they were talking about deportations if you can't pass the test or whatever, like they just send you back.
Yeah, they're also saying things like if you can't speak the French language within a certain amount of time. And learning a language is hard. I mean, but people that's the stuff where I'm kind of like, okay, listen, especially with like first generation immigrants, like my neighbors. I have neighbors here who just speak Italian still.
Here it comes.
I don't view them as any less Canadian.
I thought you were gonna be like, can you learn the language?
No, do your thing. Who am I to tell you how to live your life? But the thing is, when you bring people into a country, especially if your kids, almost everyone I know who grew up child of immigrant, like you're Filipino. And not from French.
The language
countries.
is a tough thing.
Not even because Quebec does prioritize people from, say, like Lebanon, Algeria, Haiti, places, France, even like Belgium. They prioritize people from French-speaking countries, right? Like that's part of their immigration network, right? But having said that, even people I know whose family might have come from like Serbia or the Philippines or something like that, the kids who grow up in Montreal, who grow up in Quebec, they generally speak French. You know what I mean? Unless you're in like certain enclaves of the island that are super Anglo, you generally know how to speak French because that's just how it works. Why do you speak English the way you do with the accent you do? Did your parents grow up speaking English with the accent that they? No, of course not.
No.
That's how you grew up. That's how you were socialized.
Yeah, and Montreal is like Europe in a lot of ways, including they're oddly more progressive than us, but then also more racist than us. Do you notice
Again,
that?
I push back on the more racist thing though, because it's here's
Do you
what
not
it
find
is.
even in Europe though?
No,
but you're
here's
talking
what
about
it is.
othering people. You're talking about othering people, and I find that that's how European immigration policy is too. They're very like, okay, stay in your own thing. We have a culture here. We're very proud of
But
it.
so does
Canada
okay.
is like kind of like the rest of Canada is like this multicultural.
No,
Come on in.
No, not
and we
true.
get the least hits.
no. I've been to BC. You hear white Anglo people in BC say some wild ass shit about Asians and like.
I'm just gonna say
About-
Canada, like in like Toronto. I'm just gonna say Canada's doing it better than anyone else. Who does
and
it
there's
better
still
than this?
flaws.
Multiculturalism.
And there's still
There's
flaws.
still flaws, but multiculturalism. Who does it better than us? Not
Mm,
Europe.
I don't know. India. How's
I'd say
India?
parts of
India has a lot
America.
of different cultures.
Hell no, dude. India, dude. If you're not Indian, you have to be okay. Here's the thing: if you're white,
Yeah.
you get a bump, but if you're darker,
Yeah.
you get a minus. A lot, big minuses
Right,
in
right,
India.
right,
You're
right,
not. You
right,
can't
right.
just come in and just start banging.
How would I?
people.
How would I be doing in India? Because I'm a lighter skinned, dark person,
You are light skinned, so that's gonna go a long way.
but I'm not white.
And so initially, there's gonna be an intrigue, and then they're
Uh-huh.
gonna like that you have this New York vibe to you.
There's no New York vibe. I'm from Toronto.
There's no New York vibe. Okay, fine.
You hear that? If
This
you talk to someone from New
Western-
York, they're gonna tell
You're
you I don't
Western.
sound
You're
like
born
that at
outside
all.
of you're
I'm
NRI.
a Westerner. That's what I identify as.
So you're a
Anyway,
Westerner in
yeah.
India. They'll give you a bump for being a
For
Westerner.
being a Westerner. Okay.
But it won't be as much of a bump as being a white Westerner.
Okay. So I'm.
They
still,
give you a bump for being. It's still less
I'm
than
huh,
that.
but I'm huh.
Yeah.
I'm humming a huh.
Yeah. No.
Okay. I
No,
feel you.
nobody else is down like that.
No, listen. Canada is probably one of the most progressive countries in the world.
Yeah, and I
Easily.
think a big part of
Easily,
it is
and
that,
the most
and,
inclusive.
and
all
to
that.
me, this immigration policy sounds very. It's like their anti-hijab stuff. It sounds very like.
yeah.
Quebec.
You can't step on people's personal freedom, like civic liberties.
This
right?
is very Quebec and very.
People need
France
civil
too.
liberties. Yeah, you can't impose yourself on people's civil liberties.
Well, here's the thing, and we're talking about colonial powers.
That's
guess,
not a free society.
Sure, and we're talking about colonial powers. Canada's a dominion. America is like the top power now, I guess. So basically, I guess if you're one of the losing powers, you can be like, "Hey, we want our culture too." It gives them a little leeway to be like, because when you're smaller or you're not the one, like I think Quebec gets a little bit of leeway, being like, "Hey, we're trying to protect ourselves, so we don't want this."
Right, but there's a
don't want
cultural.
these hijabs,
Listen,
or we
like
don't want
this is
whatever.
what bothers me though, because
But we can't do that here. Here, I'm not saying that. I'm not even talking about whether we want to or not. I'm just saying they get a little more leeway because they are the less. They're the losers, kind of.
But you have to look at it in terms like blow it out a little bit, right? There's cultural hegemony, right? English is the language of business for now. It might be replaced by Mandarin within the next 100 years, but
Yep.
right? But even that, I don't think, because Americans are not going to learn another.
No, they're
still going to be in play. And
let
they're
them
not
get
gonna
hit
learn
by
another
poverty.
language.
Once those pangs of poverty hit, they'll be
There's
on
already
Fiverr.
Americans already hit by poverty. They're not trying to learn another language.
They'll be on Fiverr like everyone else. They'll learn all the technical skills. They'll become the Bangladesh
Oh
of
my
the future.
God. I don't think that's going to happen.
The Bangladesh of 3000 is in America. It just
No,
all
I
goes
don't
up and
see that.
down. It just all goes up and down. When you're
The
on top,
balance
you
of
act
power?
like that. Yeah, when you're on top, you act like that, and then when you get broken down, you kind of chill and you come back more. That's how cultures survive. I mean, every
Possibly.
empire, they come up, they act like a bunch of jerks and a bunch of jocks, and the ones that are around today, like you look at England, they are the only ones. I mean, they're like I call them the Floyd Money Mayweather of empires because
Why?
because they went to the top, retired with the belt while they were still pretty, and just got to enjoy it. The other empires,
Right. Now they
when
just
they're
they
when
go
they're
on
going,
booze cruises in Thailand.
they're
and,
kicking it.
Oh, British tourists, man. Oh.
Yeah, they're hanging out, dude. Have you seen
British
Marigold
tourists are like
Hotel?
American tourists. It's the same. It's the same vibe generally. You know what I mean?
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know.
It's like all booze cruisy and it's
Let's get away, darling.
yeah. No.
But have you seen the Marigold Hotel? There's like a movie about it.
The best exotic marigolds.
Yeah,
It's like-
yeah.
yeah. About like old people.
Going
It's
back
like
to
a big fucking Viagra commercial. Yeah, like a 2-hour-long Viagra commercial
it is
for
shot
the
like-
European market.
for the European market. Yeah, let's go back to the colonies, darling. Look, but no, that I call them the Floyd Money Mayweather of empires because all the other empires, as
Yeah.
they're coming down,
Yeah,
everyone eats them.
Right.
Everyone's like, oh man, we can just go take our shit back.
Right,
So like
they
the
start
Assyrian
sputtering.
Empire,
they start sputtering.
we're looking at really the real final blows of like you could say maybe the Assyrian and the Baghdad, like
You're talking
Baghdad's-
about the the American Empire. You're looking at the final blows.
The
of
final blows from the American Empire, and you could say from the Crusades, even maybe you could say being dealt on some big Muslim powers
like
that
the
could have been on top.
Like the Visigoths are sacking Rome right now.
Basically, that's what we're
Like
doing.
everyone just being like, listen, I'm gonna take what I can get. I think I read a thing from like Ray Dalio. He's like a big hedge fund guy. He was saying like the amount of like free money out there for people to just take, and like the level of like access for some and then cut off for others. He's like it's insane. This is not sustainable. It's gonna go, but it seems like that's what it is. Like there's people who have been making money. You ever think about like when you really think about like what kind of money someone's making? It's like when you hear a CEO got like $19 million in compensation last year or whatever, they got that the year before too, right? Yeah. And the year before that, and they're going to get something similar or more the following year. Like if you had, and when you think about like a lottery winner or someone's like, I made 19 mil or whatever, right? You're like, you're good. You're going to just stop working. You're set for life. Like there's this unhealthy kind of like sense of like, I need $19 million a year to feel okay. Yeah. And I don't care if that means that I have to step on the neck of everyone. Like, it's insane.
It's crazy. And it is remember I was saying like how Trump is like this leader of the jocks, or he's like the captain of the football team?
Yeah.
They have those circles, those CEO circles.
Yeah.
They all like they're gonna make more money next year just so they can tell the other guy like, fuck you, I made more money than you. Because if they go to the country club or like whatever, where they play squat, whatever the fuck they do, or when they're having sex with their Thai hookers or whatever they do, then at that point,
very specific on that.
Very specific. I don't know why I went to Thai hooker. Like whatever, they're out together, they do their weird fetish stuff. Yeah. They're doing some rich people sex stuff probably.
Sure. That's wide shut.
Which is never like
Epstein
normal.
Island.
It's always weird. It's always something weird, right? And that's why they can focus all their time on being a sociopath. But then even when they're doing all that weird shit, someone's gonna make a comment.
Right.
Someone's gonna say, "Didn't go." Saw the Forbes list. Not bad at 4. And then and it's the other guy's gonna cry. Maybe he's gonna beat up someone. I don't know.
Well, it's such an unhealthy way to live. I don't know.
It's an
unhealthy way to live. I'm excited to get a $13 lunch special. I'm happy I can do that.
I got great food for you today, baby. You want to eat something?
You said you have to go to your mom's.
No, but I'll give it to you because I'm gonna go back, so I get a new package. This guy's been eating my mom's food. It's great, eh?
It is great. What is the flat thing that I had yesterday?
Rotli.
Rotli.
Yes.
Not roti. Rotli.
Rotli.
Who's Rotli?
The L means it's Gujarati.
The L means it's Gujarati. Well, let's get into this thing about the Gujarati CRA scams, Canadian Revenue Agency.
And you're saying, well, let's not just call it Gujarati.
Well, I'm just saying that because that's what you said earlier. So
I said earlier.
You said my family's deep in those CRA scams. You said, oh, I got people deep in those CRA scams, baby.
I have an uncle that comes over. It's a little suspicious because he comes over.
Is this the same uncle that made you eat the chicken?
No, not him.
That sounds like an episode of Succession also.
Yeah, it does. He is like that.
The uncle makes you eat the chicken.
He made me eat the chicken to be like, hey, all of our kids are eating chicken, and if you don't eat chicken, then our kids look bad. We look bad. So
yeah.
Eat it. Whatever. We'll get into that story another time. But right now, I have an uncle. I have a Gujarati uncle that very suspiciously will come in and tell us about the latest CRA scam, and it's a little suspicious, quite frankly.
I don't know if do you want to get in on this scam?
No, he doesn't say you want to get in, but he'll come in and be like, okay, if anyone calls from this number, okay, that's also a scam now. Okay, guys, we got that. All right, everyone good? Family.
Like he says it with like pre-warned knowledge, like he's like, I know who's doing it.
He says it a little early. Let's just say that. Dave today, he's like, hey, Amish, let your family know this thing. And I was like, dude, my uncle told me that like 3 months ago.
Okay.
Just broke in the papers.
You're saying he's
my uncle told me 2 months ago, like it was, hey, we all know that. Like it was nothing. He's got insider information. I'm saying.
Well, maybe they beta test these scams in India, though, and then like...
the call centers are all in Gujarat, though. I will say
they're all in Gujarat?
That's what someone else told me who works in bank. Because Gujarat, and Gujarati people just do this. They just say, like, we have the biggest economy. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's true. It's kind of like how...
It could just be all bullshit.
It could be, but it sounds like... Because Modi's from Gujarat. It's always been a more powerful state. I think it's either Gujarat or Punjab. And yet, all of this news...
Is Gujarat like... okay, so let's use like American analogies, right? Okay. Like, would Gujarat be like a California or New York? And then
Gujarat
Punjab is it conservative there?
It's conservative. I'm going to give them like... But they're not like Texas. They don't bang. What's a religious conservative one?
Texas. For sure. Texas, Florida.
No, but Texas, like they party too good. In Gujarat, they don't party good.
What do you mean they party too good?
In Texas, baby, they got their hospitality. Like you can just go to Texas and get laid. in the South in America?
What are you talking about?
Fine. Okay,
That's
so let's
anywhere.
just say Florida, maybe. Like no,
Same
no,
idea in
no,
Florida.
Florida,
They
no.
have. Well, the southern states like those really big ones. They have that like weird kind of like cultural extreme where you have like people who are really religious and really like tight and stuff like that, and then you have people who are like really loose and kind of crazy, and then you have people who are like the Venn diagram of that.
yeah.
Who like are having swingers parties on Saturdays but have mass on Sunday.
Yeah, it's like the $12 billion CEO
Yeah.
guy. Like he has to have that mask or some shit.
That's like the South Florida.
He's a weird, like someone has to get hurt
West
a little
Texas,
bit for him.
West Texas
weirdos, right?
Or
So
East Texas.
fine. So let's say Gujarat is Texas, Punjab is California, and we're talking about top states. Like they're like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know who makes more money, Texas or California. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
California.
Who makes more money? Well, a lot of Republicans would say that they're in a lot of debt or something like that. But I don't know who makes more money out of Punjab and
if you look
Gujarat.
at the GDP or whatever, though, California.
So I don't know with Gujarat and Punjab who makes more money, but it's always in my head. It's always been a tie between them for biggest. But all the tech jobs are in the south. So I was talking to this guy who worked in Bangalore, and he was telling me, and I was like, "How does Gujarat have such a good economy? They don't take any of these tech jobs." And he's like, "Yeah, because people in Gujarat they don't like do real work. They just do sales and businessy stuff."
So they're like New York State. They're like
Yeah, it's like a management state.
it's all
or something.
scammy and like finance and stuff like that.
Basically,
Okay.
right beside Bombay, but not technically. Bombay's not in Gujarat,
Okay.
but it's close. I feel like
is
it's
it
right
its
there.
own? Is it its own like special zone?
Mumbai.
Mumbai. Yeah.
It's an island, and it's part of I think Maharashtra is the state.
Is
that
it
it's
state?
in.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't think they're like that in the running. And then there's other states in India that I'm like that are just like very, poverty stricken.
Like Chennai. Chennai's in the south, right?
Yeah, I don't know much about that, but I know that Bangalore, like all the tech jobs are in the south somewhere. They're in Bangalore, like they're in the south, so that's where all that stuff's going on. So anyway, this guy was saying. So then when he told me all the call centers, and I was like, oh yeah, and all that CRA, the scam stuff, and he's like, this is just a Gujarati talking shit. But the way he said it, he's like 100%.
100%.
He said 100%.
This is your uncle.
This is like a guy who worked in Bangalore,
the
but he's a
guy
Gujarati
in
guy.
Bangalore. Okay.
But when I told him like these scam calls, they're all from Gujarat, right? I feel like if you go up to a Gujarati and you say, hey, these scam calls are all from Gujarat, right?
Yeah.
They will say it is, and there's going to be a hint of pride in their voice. That's what scares me. That's what really scares me about them. Is that they say it's just like in the documentary. You know the documentary Wild Wild Country?
Yeah.
So you know the woman in it?
Sheila,
Ma Anand, the one who poisoned the town.
Yeah.
These guys, my family comes over. We start talking about she's like, we're talking about it, like what a sociopath is, what she is, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And just people are doing this. Patel, she's a Patel, like she's just Patel. She's
It's
a
like
Patel.
it's like listen, she got her name out there. That's like if like the Bundys were like, yeah, Ted's a Bundy. He was a Bundy.
Hey man, Bundys don't fuck around. It's like that.
Bundys get the job done.
Don't fuck with a Bundy,
Bundys
baby.
get the job done.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of like, is it like a morbid pride or is it just straight up pride?
It's pride because you know what it is? They are, it's a culture of capitalists, baby. Gujarat is a capitalist culture, dude. And you look
Right.
at the prime minister and them, they love the game.
Well, you know what?
That's why my
Modi
theory-
with the vest. You know who else wears the vest?
Tell me.
All these Wall Street fucks. They all wear. He dresses like a Wall Street trader.
Yeah.
All those guys with the Patagonia vests. And you know what's it's so ironic too because Patagonia is like a company based off of like ethical like business practices and like all this stuff. You know they said that they're not gonna make like personalized like hedge fund vests anymore. And there was like a panic a couple months ago.
Okay.
Where they're like, we gotta wear Columbia. That's another thing. That's like that was one of the like small things like where now since it's even more like kind of exclusive or whatever.
Yeah.
I bet you there's gonna be like hedge funds that like had a contract with Patagonia from before that didn't get canceled.
Yeah.
They're gonna just like look at like other guys being like, oh, you can maintain it, huh? Maybe they're like it's like well what's your eco investment portfolio look like? Yeah, maybe you should think about that. Maybe you don't.
Yeah,
maybe you're not dynamic. Maybe you don't think like that.
It's the same guy from before. He's like, didn't make the Forbes top 5, did ya?
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. Patagonia's only for the closers. It's
Patagonia's for closers.
Patagonia's for closers.
I think that's the title of this
Closers
episode.
is the top 5 on the Forbes list.
And that's the name of this episode. Patagonia's for closers.
Patagonia's for closers.
Oh shit, Amish. All right.
Oh shit,
they're
evil. They're evil. We covered everything.
I think we did what we wanted to do.
The CRA scam, though. What's the new thing? Oh yeah, basically.
What is the scam, by the way? Yeah. before we go?
Oh man, they call you.
So people should know.
So this is the new thing that my roommate just told me about. We're here at Kenwood Self Tapes in my bedroom, but we're here in Kenwood Self Tapes. My business partner Dave informed me this morning that the CRA, he's like, now they're calling with their name as the caller ID. Like not their name, like the Canadian Revenue. It'll say CRA.
That's not hard to do. Apparently, it's really easy to program your thing as caller ID.
I was when he told me, I was like, buddy, we've already got the announcement from my uncle. Like
but who's the guy on the other line? Like, there's so much. Okay,
it's a Gujarati guy too. That's the thing. The accent, Gujarati, and sometimes you know what they do? They call and they do this. Okay, so bhai means brother.
Yeah.
And kaka or chacha, whatever means uncle.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they'll call and be like, hello, is a Patel uncle there? Patel chacha? Or like they'll be like, Patel, hello, Patel bhai. Hey, come to. Can I talk? Like, and they'll start and just go into a Gujarati conversation.
Yeah.
How are you?
And you're like, and then so they're attacking like Indian Canadians then, like Gujarati Canadians.
They are in India and they're calling. And look, man, I was telling.
But if I'm like Filipino Canadian and you call me with that, I'll be like, what are you?
But they are looking at our name on the phone book.
Yeah, they're looking for the Patels.
And then they fish for a name.
Right.
So so maybe they fish for a name, and now they might even know that at our house it's like my dad's name in Patel.
Right.
So they can just call and say like,
right.
Hello.
But here's the thing: the only way Revenue Canada deals with you is with letters. They send you a letter in the mail, or you have to go through like the government portal website. Anything else is like, come on, what are you?
Yeah.
It needs to be official, like government stationery. Also, it needs to be that brown like envelope.
Yeah.
What was that? Oh, anything else is bullshit.
My uncle told me that they busted like 2 call centers in the last little bit. They busted 2 call centers in Gujarat. So my uncle, this is just like, again, this is all just hearsay from other Patel Gujaratis.
Call Center Confidential.
Call Center Confidential.
We should start. That should be a segment on the show. Call Center Confidential, where we just find like the latest call center news from around the world.
There's so my uncle's telling me how like he's like, yeah, they shut down 2 like call centers.
Yeah.
But he's like, now they're just doing it out of their cars, cell phones, cars.
What?
Yeah, they just do it.
So now they're freelance.
They're just driving around.
Imagine the manager goes on the top floor that day. He's like, listen, guys, we're going to give you guys a great opportunity to work from home, okay? You don't want to come here at 9 every day. Be your own boss.
Hey, what if I told you could do this and Uber at the same time? Okay. So they're just...
Or not Uber. What's the big one in India?
I don't know. There is their own, maybe, a different one.
They have a different one because it's called like Didi. In China, it's called like Didi.
China's smart and they keep those businesses out, but India... No, man, I think Uber just can.
China makes it themselves, and then they like,
and
they have like full vertical integration. You know how we were talking about like antitrust a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Like they have like this company Didi. I was listening to a podcast, and apparently they own the cars, but they also own gas stations and like mechanic shops.
But they're also owned by the government, no? Aren't they like?
No. It's a private company. Well,
government.
I'm sure there's some people in the party who have like a piece of it or whatever. But the thing is, the way that they discourage drivers to go anywhere else is like and they have like insurance too. So like we're gonna give you a great insurance rate.
Yeah.
We're gonna give you a cheap gas rate.
Okay.
If anything happens to your car, we're gonna fix it for next to nothing, right? But the people delivering stuff, like you make very little money off of what you're doing.
Okay.
But all these other expenses have gone down for you. But then they say if we find out you work for any other company, you're cut off and that's out and you're out. That's it.
Loyalty. We need the hardest working slaves. Basically, like they're creating a system of voluntary slavery, and that's what happens when the economy gets tough and you can start squeezing people. Is it just gets to slavery from this other way, right? Would you say?
Yeah, but even like right now, look at right now, like the economy, especially in the States, right? The economy is booming, right? Like in terms of the stock or whatever like that. People keep saying there might be a recession, but now they're saying, oh, that might not happen.
Okay.
But despite all that, minimum wage just hasn't gone up yet, right? Like there hasn't really been that paradigm shift that people are waiting for, that people have been wanting to happen. So in a way, it's kind of ingrained into the culture, and it's also just ingrained into like what people are willing to accept. That's why you need unions and stuff like that to actually kind of push. You need stuff to agitate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
You need to be able to fight back, man.
You need to have a threat of a strike or whatever. Because if you give them too much, like there used to be company towns, right?
Yeah.
Like there used to be like literal company towns where you worked for the company and then you rented your house from the company and then you bought groceries from the company and they had like such a domination over your life.
Yeah.
Right? and that still exists to a certain extent, right? But it's more obfuscated now. But we need to move away from that. we need to move away from that.
You haven't seen Succession yet, but one of the things they do on it is one of the big like plot points, like, oh no, what? Like, because it's all about these media mergers and buyouts and whatever.
Yeah.
And then like one of the pieces of information, this is like a major turning point. Is like. He's like, they're gonna buy this company. We're going in, we're buying it. It's ours.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about it. And then they get this inside, like they're talking about starting a union. Okay, cut. We're out. We're done. Like they just cut so quick, dude. So quick.
Right.
Like it was just such a turning point in the show. They're like, union? Okay, let's just.
Well, that's what Amazon did. That's what
Yeah.
Amazon did in New York. That was a sticking point because they have warehouses in Staten Island, right? So they were gonna come into New York with that big complex in Queens, and then you had people in labor there being like, okay, well, by the way, if you're coming to work, this is a union town, so those are gonna have to be union jobs. And Amazon was like, like that's why I mentioned the other day, like on the podcast, like a week or two ago, Bezos is like a full-on libertarian. In the sense that he's like pro gay marriage, he's pro all that, but he's also like very much like, don't touch my business. Don't fucking think about putting your fingers anywhere near my business. Like, don't he raised minimum wage to $15 an hour for everyone like who work at Whole Foods because they own Whole Foods or Amazon now, right? That's the base that you get paid. But he did that in part because Bernie Sanders and like SEIU, Service Employees International Union, were pushing companies like Amazon and Walmart to raise the minimum wage.
Right.
But also think about it this way. If the economy right now is booming and doing really well, and there's like companies want employees, but the minimum wage is lower, and other places are just, Popeyes is going to give you whatever they have to give you.
Yeah.
If Amazon does something so little like that, they're going to retain and have much more people coming in than otherwise. So it's all optics and it's all savvy. There's no altruism in business for by and large, unless you're Patagonia. But even then you're getting co-opted. By the closers. Patagonia's for closers.
Patagonia's for closers. You got co-opted. But no, it's interesting. It's basically like the left needs sharks too. Like you can't just have sharks all on the right.
The left has sharks, but the left is just so bifurcated. The left is just so split. You know what I mean?
We are, and the last 5-10 years, and we saw this last time we talked about Obama being like, "Hey, like just chill out." Like culture.
You know what the symbol of the Democratic Party should be, or any left thing? It should be that image of the snake eating its own tail.
Yeah, they eat each other, man.
That should just be the logo.
Dude,
the snake eating its own tail.
So quick. Like the right wing team has they have unity and they have all the sociopaths. In the last 5-10 years, I feel like
the left has its fair share of sociopaths.
We kicked out all our sociopaths.
And
I think we suffered a little dip, and then Obama had to come and be like, guys, can we just stop with the woke culture? Who's gonna fight, dude? Well, who's the guy from fucking who's the guy from SNL? That guy, the guy who was, dude, he was
Shane Gillis?
No, not Shane Gillis. The guy who got the older guy who was on SNL back in the day. Al Franken.
Oh, he got pushed out off of the smear piece, and then the New Yorker did a whole thing on that. How that was like a takedown from conservative operatives in L.A.
Yeah,
like the woman was like on a conservative radio show, and it was just like all a coordinated attack to kind of discredit him.
Man, Al Franken,
you know what they said? They said that he would have been a contender for the 2020 nomination.
Yes, he would have been.
He would have been a comedian against Trump, and he also got a lot of this stuff that now we're dealing with impeachment. He got that off the ground.
He got that off the ground.
He was good. He was good in the Senate.
He's always good in the Senate, man. All of his whenever he checked the Supreme Court guys, he always did his research. He'll come back. Now that we all know there's a fucking hit piece, god damn it, man. What a waste. And you know the problem is, let's address the other real issue here. There's a hit piece, but what about all the followers on our team that couldn't just fucking think for themselves, god damn it? Mm-hmm. How come we can't? Because Kurt Metzger was saying this on his podcast too, which I do think he's going a little. How's Al Franken going to come back though? He can never come back. He'll come back. Now that we all know there's a fucking hit piece, god damn it, man! What a waste. And you know the problem is, let's address the other real issue here. There's a hit piece, but what about all the followers on our team that couldn't just fucking think for themselves? God damn it. Mm-hmm. How come we can't? Because Kurt Metzger was saying this on his podcast too, which I do think he's going a little off the deep end. Sometimes.
He's a little nuts here.
He's getting a little nutty on his new show. Fuck, I do love him, but he's getting a little. It's a bit much.
We're still fans.
We're still fans. I love him. It's almost like he's dealing with mental health issues. That's what the podcast is.
I don't want to speculate.
But it's fine. Love Metzger, but one of the great insights of this new podcast is that basically on the left, if someone comes in and bullies everyone, nobody can fucking say shit.
Right.
So just one person comes and says like Al Franken did this. Oh, so you hate women? So you want to kill everyone? Like it's like, man, just
right. It's a lack of discussion and debate and consensus. And listen, we just want to come to an understanding here. We just want to come to an understanding. That's what this is all about.
That's what it's all about. Come to an understanding. I think we've done. I think I gotta go, baby.
Yeah. You gotta go see your mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why
Hey,
you gotta make
you're
it
a
sound
good
like
son. No, you're a good son.
that?
I'm saying it.
Like that.
I'm making it sound like it's a good thing that you're doing. Your
Two
mom
weeks
is-
ago, I left on a Friday.
Yeah.
I told her I'm going to do my show. I get like 10 minutes before I'm about to start my show, I get a call from mom. Like, hey, what's up? She's like, you coming home? And I'm like, no, mom, I told you I have a show. She's like, oh, because I'm by myself now. Because my dad died.
Yeah. I know. It's a good thing. Good you can laugh at it.
No, and even with her, I'm like, can you chill, man? I just told you I was leaving.
Yeah.
But no, we got to do. There's still a lot of logistics for it too. We just got to go do some finance stuff right now.
Yeah, no, you gotta. Hey, listen, you
Gotta
gotta
go
be with
kick
your
it
family.
with my mama.
And we support you. The podcast supports you.
Thanks, baby.
Meaning me, and I hope you support yourself. So the podcast supports you.
The podcast supports me. Yes.
Okay, Amish. I'll just do my plug.
Go do your plug.
Lalo Laughs every Sunday, 8 p.m. Lalo Brewery, College and Dufferin. As I say, great beer. If you're a drinker, all right. If you like to swell that liver from time to time, come by. Great craft brews.
Great
And
night.
we're doing a bar rail special. We're doing a $6 bar rail special during the show now. So
Wow.
if you like that hard
I don't have a
stuff,
show right now, so I'm gonna be doing that show a lot. So I'll just come
yeah,
over there.
Come by, hang out.
Come hang out.
And then we also got great Trinidadian food from Adisa in the Kitchen. That's some of the best food, some of the best Caribbean food in Canada, maybe North America, maybe the world. I
Very
don't
cool
know.
people that open that place and that
Yeah.
run that place. Very cool vibe. As soon as you walk in,
You
you're
got
like,
a good
okay, I'm cool.
vision.
Good
You'll
vision.
have a good time. So come out to that. This has been Let's Come to an Understanding. I'm Drew Picklyk,
My name is Amish Patel.
and we'll see you guys when we see you. Bye-bye.
Let's come to an understanding. Let's come to an understanding. Let's come to an understanding. Let's come to an understanding.